Well, welcome back, everyone. We have one more formal presentation for today, during which we'll be hearing from our fellow NIDLR grantees from the Model Systems Knowledge Translation Center, or MSKTC, and the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago. Their presentation is titled Planning Your Social Media, Model Systems Knowledge Translation Center Tools That Can Help. Deeza May Smith is a research associate at the American Institutes of Research, which houses MSKTC. She'll be introducing her fellow presenters. Deeza, are you ready to begin?
Yes, thank you, Anne. So hello and welcome to the Model Systems Knowledge Translation Center, or the MSKTC, presentation on planning your social media. Today's presentation will help you understand the various types of social media and how you as a researcher can use these platforms and our resources to begin or enhance your engagement with different audiences while promoting your research. My name is Deeza May Smith, and I am a research associate on the MSKTC project funded by NIDLR. The MSKTC staff are housed within the American Institutes for Research, or AIR, and one of our project goals is to support the model system grantees in producing and disseminating knowledge. So today we'll begin with introductions and an overview. Next, Tiffany Brewer, a communications specialist at AIR, will discuss with you social media platforms with an emphasis on how you can use these platforms to share your research. Then Amber Hammond, who is a digital communications specialist at AIR, will discuss the 3 tools developed by the MSKTC that you can use on your social media journey. Finally, you'll hear from Allison Todd of the Midwest Regional Spinal Cord Injury Care System, housed within the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago. Allison leads the Model System social media effort, and she has begun pilot testing our social media tools. She'll describe her use of the tools and how she and her team have applied them to their social media strategy. And now I'll turn it over to Tiffany Brewer.
Thanks, Deeza. So in today's webinar, we will present you with the case for using social media in promoting your work. We will begin by giving you an overview of the social media landscape and provide evidence for just how pervasive it is in our society, who is using it, and the many utilities it offers. We will then help you think about how you can use these tools in your work and give you a glimpse into what is needed to manage these efforts in your organization. Then Amber Hammond will share the social media tools developed by the MSKTC, and Allison Todd will describe how her team is using these tools as part of their social media strategy. If you're not familiar with social media, you may be thinking that it's something best left to teens and can be a distraction from your workday. But social networking is the #1 online activity in the U.S. For example, the average American spends 40 minutes a day just checking his or her Facebook feed. There's an increasing importance in employing digital tactics and communicating about public health and health research. 90% of all media interactions are now screen-based. A particular concern to those of you working in the healthcare and health research is that 72% of internet users search online for health information, and half of online health information searching is done on behalf of someone else. This tells us that a majority of people are turning online to educate themselves about their health and the health of people they care for. They're even doing it on the go. 31% of cell phone users are 31% of cell phone owners and 52% of smartphone owners use their phone to look up health information. Let's do a quick poll. Please raise your hand by pressing the hand icon found on the top of your screen. How many of you remember the Ice Bucket Challenge from last year? I'll wait a second for you guys to share your responses. If you raise your hand, please use the chat feature, also on your screen, to tell us how effective you think it was and if it helped support research. Great, thanks for responding. The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge was an organic and viral social media effort that promoted awareness of ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease, and to raise donations for research. The challenge called on people to dump a bucket of ice water on their head, then nominate others to do the same. Publicly nominated others on social media. Those that declined the challenge were instead expected to donate to the ALS Association. The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge proved to be a successful campaign, with people sharing more than 1.2 million challenge videos on Facebook, and the campaign being mentioned more than 2.2 million times on Twitter. The effort raised $115 million for ALS research. This is a great example of the power of the viral potential of social media, but also a cautionary tale. Your social media message can go viral, so be prepared, but not scared. When we discuss social media management later on, you'll have a better idea of what kind of preparation is needed. Let's do another quick poll. So if your hand was raised before, please lower it. How many of you use social media for any purpose? That's a great response. Research also tells us that 74% of internet users are also using social networking tools across various platforms. Different social media platforms have different purposes, reach different audiences, and use different syntax in their messaging. There is abundant evidence that social media saturates our lives as a source of information, entertainment, and connectivity across many platforms. Today, I'll present an overview of the most widely used digital platforms you can use to promote your work, including Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So Facebook is the king of social media platforms, with 71% of Americans using the site. But other tools like LinkedIn, that has 28% of users, Pinterest, 29% of American adults, Instagram with 26%, and Twitter with 23% hold their own. Half of social network site users have shared news stories, images, or videos, and almost half, 46%, have discussed a news issue or event online. Facebook is the news powerhouse among social media sites, with 30% of their general population getting news from the site. 71% of online adults use Facebook. It's now become an alternative to going to an actual website. Information is easily accessible and shareable through Facebook. Usage is fairly even across most groups, with the fastest growing sector being seniors, as they catch up to the younger age groups in terms of usage. Women are also particularly likely to use Facebook when compared with men. A fun fact is that 39% are connected to other people on Facebook whom they've never met in person. 23% of American adults use Twitter. Twitter can be really helpful in engaging with an audience or consumers and relaying information quickly. As an example, in 2011, a rare 5.8 magnitude earthquake struck the Metro DC area. There are reports of people in the Northeast, including New York, seeing tweets about the earthquake coming out of DC, only to feel the quake many seconds later, proving that social media is faster than a seismic wave. Twitter is particularly popular among those under 50 and the college-educated, but the service has seen significant increases among a number of demographic groups, including men, whites, those ages 65 and older, those who live in households with an annual household income of $50,000 or more, college graduates, and urbanites. A fun fact about Twitter is that 10 tweets, 10 tweets mention Starbucks every second. 78% of online adults watch or download videos, and 31% of American adult internet users upload or post videos online. Younger adult, more educated, and higher income internet users are twice as likely to post and share videos online than their older counterparts. Comedy, how-to, music, and educational videos are among the most widely viewed video genres. There are many video sharing platforms, but YouTube is the most well-known with 1 billion users. In addition, it's the second largest search engine on the internet. YouTube is also the second largest social networking site behind Facebook. The key to using YouTube is to keep videos short and offer the viewer something to capture their interest. Some people like to refer to the YouTube sweet spot, as chocolate-covered broccoli. Something good for you, disguised in something sweet and yummy. A fun fact about YouTube is that it reaches more American adults aged 18 to 34 than any cable network. If you're having trouble thinking about how YouTube could possibly be used in a professional capacity for medical research, a fun example features Baylor Zing Lab for Alzheimer's research. It's a Lady Gaga parody video that has been viewed over 4 million times. I believe the link to this video will be in your slides that you receive. So we have another quick poll. How many of you use social media for professional purpose? Great. So for those of you who do use social media for professional purposes, I'd love for you to use the chat feature again to share some ways that you do that. Awesome. So notably, 79% of people believe news reports do not distinguish between well-founded and not well-founded scientific findings. You can take advantage of this by sharing your news yourself, as you have credibility as the established authority on the subject. 47% of scientists use social media to communicate about science. The most engaged use multiple platforms to connect with the public. You may now be convinced that you should be using social media to share your work, but with this abundance of information, you're probably wondering how you can get started. It's important to remember that to use social media tools, it's important to remember to use social media tools because you should and not because you can. We've included some general ideas here, and these are great inspiration to start thinking about how you can apply this to your work specifically. Social media lets you do things in a way that make it digestible for the audience. The bolded ideas on this slide can be particularly relevant for your work and research. As you can see here, there are many steps involved in effective social media management. We'll talk through this process a little bit today. The first part to any new social media activity is planning for your account. This includes defining your audience, their needs, what you want to offer them, platform setup, roles, content creation, moderation, and approval processes. And then, of course, your goals. As mentioned before, you want to be purposeful about using social media. It is all too rare that planning involves thinking about what you can do for your audience, which is where you want to actually start. Some of you may have social media accounts set up already for your model system, or you may be a part of a larger organization that has social media accounts that are available to you to provide messaging about your specific program. If you don't have an existing social media presence, setting up the social media account may be the easiest part of this process. This will vary by channel, so you will need to take a look at the platform you are setting up and see what elements are currently required. You'll need to determine what language, images, and administrator roles you want for the account, and perhaps get approval from necessary parties on these elements. After you've developed a strategic plan, configuring the settings for your account, and assigned roles for managing your social media presence, launching the account is easy. It's usually as simple as pushing a button. You should have messages developed before you get to this point, because once you push that button, you're live. I recommend that you start with a soft launch to ensure that everything is running smoothly before you start to heavily promote your site and attract a wider following. It's recommended to always have content ready to go, like I just mentioned, but also to be ready to create content that is reflective of real-time events. Developing a calendar that includes planned content for all channels allows you to coordinate efforts and ensure you have regular content ready. Dialogue and engagement are crucial to social media management. It's the main reason for having a presence in the social media space in the first place. When developing content, it's important to figure out how to engage your followers in a discussion with your organization and with each other. You should determine in your strategic plan how often and what kind of monitoring for which you have resources. You should definitely check your accounts and respond to audience comments daily, and more frequently if you're able. You will need to plan for this and consider what resources, like staff and budget, you have available to commit to this effort. If you're unable to realistically participate in a two-way dialogue, then you can restrict access for commenting on your pages, but that defeats the purpose of being in a social networking space. If you have ever asked a question or posted a comment on an organization's social media page and not received an answer when you expected to, you should know how useless that page seems and how frustrating that can be. Instead, you want to create an incentive for people to return to your social media platform and invite others to join as well. Evaluation. Many social media platforms offer evaluation tools to help inform your reporting and future direction for your page. For example, Facebook Insights tool, pictured here, creates wonderful visualizations that help you assess your efforts for everything from what time of day people visit your page to how they're reaching your page. Such feedback can help you make informed decisions about content creation, publishing, and promotion. Now I'll turn it over to Amber Hammond, who will discuss the social media tools that the MSKTC developed.
All right, so MSKTC created the guide for developing an MSKTC social media plan to provide model systems with some kind of reference to navigate the different social media platforms. The guide includes practical tips, background information, best practices, and points to consider when creating a social media plan. So this guide is intended for use as a companion to complete another tool we developed, the MSKTC Social Media Development Workbook. So we created the workbook to provide Model Systems grantees with a hands-on, step-by-step planning tool that helps readers think through all the aspects that contribute to developing an efficient and effective approach to social media activities. In the workbook, each step includes space to write or type ideas and plans, and each section concludes with one or more action items intended to help readers document the entire social media development process and implement that plan to meet the needs of their organization. So the end result is a social media strategic plan that can be referred back to and used to guide strategy and future changes. We designed the workbook with the idea that some sections of the workbook will be used only once during the initial planning and setup process, while others will be used multiple times throughout social media endeavors and will even evolve as needs of the model systems change. So the guide and workbook walk readers through the processes associated with using social media, starting with the planning stage. The planning stage begins with an idea to reach audiences through social media to communicate about research and products. For those who already have a social media approach in place, this section can help them review and update their plan.
Hi, Deeza. This is Amber. Are you hearing me?
Oh, perfect. Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for stepping in.
Yes, please take it away.
Absolutely. Thank you. In the planning stage, readers set goals for their social media approach, identify and allocate resources, create a theme timeline for the upcoming year to plan their events, identify and create ideal audience personas, select the appropriate social media channels to match their goals and audience, and define their organization's social media voice. Setting goals involves assessing the model system's mission and determining how social media activities will align with and support that mission. Allocating resources includes evaluating the time, staff, technology, budget, and other resources already in place to invest in social media, then determining the additional needs and resources required to set up, execute, and monitor social media activities. Creating a yearly editorial planning timeline or calendar involves setting a concept or theme for the social media activities and identifying individual campaigns and milestones to promote. Identifying and creating ideal audience personas involves describing the roles, interests, motivations, and online and other communication behaviors of both the current overall audience and your ideal social media audience. Typical model system audience roles include, but are not limited to, researchers, persons with a specific injury, policymakers, advocates, disability organizations, clinicians, physicians, providers, and staff. Selecting appropriate channels comprises learning more about each of the 6 most popular social media channels and adopting the 1 or 2 best-fitting channels first, and then building on their success over time. Hence, it's more important to be great at 1 channel than mediocre at 3 or 4. Finally, social media voice refers to the organization's personality. Social media provides the opportunity to humanize organizations and make them relatable to their audience. A social media voice includes character, tone, language, and purpose. Next slide, please. Thank you. In the execution stage, readers put their social media plans to work. In the execution stage, readers set up the social media accounts and profiles chosen in the first stage. Readers then define the process for adding content, including identifying original, internally generated content and finding relevant and useful content from others. Content can range from information and research to announcements and press releases to events and calls for participation, always referring back to the goals set during the planning stage. Once content is identified, readers create a monthly content calendar, determining the frequency of developing and reviewing the content, as well as determining how to package and post the content. The monthly content calendar we developed is a spreadsheet to map out specific social media use and is completely adaptable to the needs of the model system using it. And you'll see an example of that on the slide. Finally, the execution stage is where model systems will begin to engage in discussion with their audiences and build online relationships and networks. The guide and workbooks conclude with the monitoring and optimization stage, in which the reader will sustain the implemented social media approach by tracking outcomes and considering how to expand and grow outreach efforts. In the monitoring and optimization stage, readers make a concerted effort to promote and grow their new social media activities and identify and learn about the potential partners, allies, and cheerleaders. This includes identifying organizations similar to the model system with which they can partner to cross-promote and cross-post each other's social media content. Finding organizations and joining their audience, becoming allies, and supporting social media activities. This also includes leveraging the help of relevant influencers to be cheerleaders by asking them to share your content, highlight your account or accounts, and use relevant hashtags that you've developed. In this stage, readers also develop a procedure and schedule to review metrics on a regular basis and use these metrics to revise their approach, building on what is working and discontinuing what is not. There are 4 main categories of social media. This is not an exhaustive list of measures, and note that the terminology can change from channel to channel. Exposure. This is the reach of social media to the audience, to the target audiences and others, including metrics like visits, views, impressions, followers, fans, or subscribers. Influence. This metric is the power of social media among other accounts and includes your share of overall voice, sentiment, and top influencers. Engagement metric is the interaction of audiences with the content, which includes measurements of clicks, reports, shares, replies, messages, mentions, posts, comments, and shares. Finally, the conversion metric is a marketing term that refers to the audience taking the action intended as a result of using the social media. This includes content downloads, event attendance, funds raised, partners acquired, and study participants recruited. After developing a baseline of how the chosen social media channels perform, model systems should test different elements to determine if changes garner a lift in results. Now I'll turn the presentation over to Allison Todd, who is putting these tools to use at the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago.
Hi everyone. Like Amber said, I'm Allison Todd and I'm the project coordinator for the Midwest Regional Spinal Cord Injury Care System at the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago. I'm going to detail the progress that has been made at our site working through the MSKTC guide and workbook that you've been introduced to today. Why bother with social media? As has been explained over the last couple of days, social media is now a powerful force in affecting change on multiple levels. The possibilities align with an overall goal of the Midwest Regional Spinal Cord Injury Care System, or MRSIC. We work in research and love a solid acronym. We want to create a multifaceted and powerful resource in the day-to-day lives of persons with SCI, their family, friends, and caregivers, and other members of the community. Social media allows us to explore one avenue of being a resource in a way that is unique when compared to more traditional avenues. It's there at your fingertips. It can quickly change to respond to the dynamics of our audience, and it has ample room for creativity, entertainment, and fun, making it decidedly more engaging than those previously mentioned traditional avenues. Our internal discussions on building a social media presence fortuitously lined up with an MSKTC webinar on social media. My little team within a small department of RIC has the additional challenge of attacking this issue on a very small portion of our duties within the department. So if we were going to find the time and effort to do this, we were going to do it well. The MSKTC offered to help us build our social media presence from the ground up. We had some experience with social media use in other projects, but this was different in terms of the audience, tone, permitted interactions, and more. The MSKTC built a guide and a workbook that addressed our questions and concerns, including our main concern: how to develop and maintain an engaging and high-quality social media presence on a very limited time and effort budget. As mentioned by Amber, the MSKTC guide is laid out in 3 stages. Right now, we're solidly in stage 1, planning, and flirting with stage 2. The following are highlights of the planning done so far. We found it difficult to explore the possibilities and set our practical goals without first knowing the stage of our performance. We skipped ahead in the guide a bit and selected Facebook. So we had our big sweeping goal that we started with, but what about the practical application? The MSKTC guide emphasizes the importance of choosing SMART goals, that being specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-based goals. Our first whittling down from the multifaceted resource goal led to create and maintain an engaging Facebook page that is a resource for the Chicago SCI community. Our SMART goals are realized in our efforts to do this. One goal is posting and reposting external content 3 times weekly. Another, posting original and internal content at least twice weekly. And creating 8 original content pieces a month to fill and build up stock for this original content goal. How will we know it's working? Facebook Insights can help tell us, is our content popular? Is it reposted again and again? Is our audience talking both to us and about us? And of course, let's count up those likes. Now, do we have the resources we need to become the resource we want to be? It's impossible to meet goals if you don't have the resources to devote to them. In our scenario, I have to draw our power from within. We needed to consider how we'd be able to meet our proposed timelines, standards, and workflow. Here is a snippet of our resource table. This table is taken directly from the MSKTC workbook. Notice the time needed are ranges and question marks. Part of this is still defining what will be entailed in each step and refining. This will be a page in our digital media SOP or standard operating procedures that will be regularly edited. Fair warning, this is the first of many times that you will rework your goals in the planning process. And this table gives a glance at how we're looking to divvy up the content plans of our year. What is it we want to integrate into our social media outputs? This table, again adapted from the MSKTC workbook, is just a corner of the table we're working on. Our topics include things like RIC campaigns, professional and academic events that MRFIC staff is attending or presenting at, events our audience may wish to attend, SEI studies at RIC, so things like recruitment, retention, or publishing notices, awareness observances, both day and month-long, holidays, inspirational stories, living with an SEI, a basics review. We want to be putting out those MSKTC fact sheets into the hands of our SEI community. Facing disability content, a website that we work with often. SEI science in the news, pulling out news stories for our participants to pay notice to, our audience to pay notice to. and Know Your MRSEX team, short interview videos to introduce who it is that the people in our studies are interacting with, putting faces to names, and of course, many more. But who are we directing this content to? Not at. We are seeking a dialogue after all. We first needed to identify our current audience, our model system's SCI database. We know ages, gender, social roles. What has this audience noticed and responded to? Which research questions spurred further dialogue during study participation, newsletters, holiday and birthday cards? What have they asked us and what have we given them? What barriers to serving them better can we identify? Some that we've already pinpointed include the limited time of our staff to see into individual requests, socioeconomic barriers to computer access on our participants' part, limited mobility in using the currently available resources, physical isolation, and more. We then went on to create our ideal personas, which is harder. We've given ours monikers to help us connect to them and remember them. First, there's the well-informed self-advocate, who we saw as the patient who enters an appointment, medical or research, with a question list in hand and an understanding of the recent research. Then there's the inspiring optimist, who is actively working to improve his or her quality of life, faithfully believing in the ability to continue this progress. And finally, we have the curious collector, who enjoys acquiring information the way collectors enjoy their tchotchkes or pieces. But who would these audience personas readily listen to or be willing to strike up a conversation with? In thinking of this persona, I actually thought of one of the first jobs I ever had. I was a library page or shelver at my local library. The job description would sound, to most, like a drudgery. But for us pages, there were many reasons to love the job. As book lovers, we were constantly perusing for our next great read, got first dibs on the new editions, knew the regulars at the library, could translate call numbers into topic sections on cue, knew how the place fit together, or the lay of the land. There were many highly qualified librarians who worked with us, trained to help you in all your research and book-seeking needs. However, if there was a humble library page in sight when a patron approached the help desk, an instant detour was made, and without fail, the page was sought out first. So why? We were part of the hierarchy without the intimidating elements of authority. We were learning as they were learning. We walked the space and saw what came in and out. We knew what was popular, what was current. So who was this page or this person for MRSEX? A persona who's learning with you, but was informed enough to teach them too. In our heads, this was a student, perhaps a grad student, part teacher, not an expert, but fully engaged in the hopes of being one, happy to coordinate and curate information, even if only to sate her own curiosity. Could our persona have a meaningful and enjoyable conversation with our audience's personas? Only time will tell on that one. So what's next? Stage 2, executing our plan. We're already seeking out company-approved visuals, looking into release forms for patient stories, and more. We hope to be up and running early in the new year, taking ample time to refine our plan. And now, I suppose on to questions. That's it for me.
Yep. So thank you to Tiffany, Amber, and Allison. This is Ziza again. If anyone has any questions, please use the chat feature. I can read them out loud, and one of the presenters will respond. I know that someone asked about the stats that we use in our slides, and I believe Tiffany responded that we will make those sources available to you after the conference.
I know someone also asked about Snapchat. If you guys still can't hear me well, I can respond about that in the chat box.
Okay, so someone asked, for how long have you been using these tools? Allison?
So we actually received these tools a few months back. Actively using them, I'd say we're about 2 months into that process. I know we got a little bit slowed down from when we first had a meeting with the MSKTC. We actually had a bunch of staff changeover, so with bringing in new people who would be working on the project, we decided to slow things down a bit. But within a couple of months, we've really had a lot of good planning coming into place. And I would say what's probably taking the longest in that planning is determining generating content and who's going to do that, what kind of time or effort allowances we can give them to do that. We're working into a grant and project where it's a very small piece now. Hopefully, if we're looking for renewal, it'll be a larger piece. But yeah, in those 2 months, with just, I'd say, probably a couple hours a week, we've gotten quite a bit done.
This is Anne speaking. We did have a question that came in during registration, and this person would like to know how to share the knowledge with others using social media, especially when you want to elicit a response from the people you're trying to engage.
I don't know who you want to answer that. Can you guys hear me well enough for me to answer?
Sure. Let's try it.
I'll try, and then I'll also type my response. But I think that the key to having engaging content or to engaging with your audience is to kind of build that beforehand. So building an audience base where you show that you are responsive to the content that they post in return, and then also posting it in an engaging format. So making it in the form of a question that will kind of elicit response, quiz questions, seem to be always engaging. And there's also specific features in Facebook and Twitter specifically that will allow you to poll your fans so that you can ask questions and they can respond and you can see the aggregation of responses.
Great. Thank you very much, Tiffany.
I would also add to that. Oh, I'm sorry.
no.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you. This is Amber. I would add to that, too, that if you have a particular piece that you put to your audience that you want them to participate in or give you feedback on or comment on, don't be afraid to ask. In this day and age, your audience responds well to fulfilling an ask. And in the marketing world, it's called a call to action. So be specific with what you want them to do. It may seem obvious to you as the presenter, but to the audience, that little push and said, leave your, a comment about this, that, or the other, or answer this quiz question, or, tell us what you think, goes a long way to getting those, that interaction and engagement.
Thank you very much.
Great. So another question asked, how do you identify a success metric? Tiffany, I think that's around evaluation.
Sure, I can answer that. So, that's always a good question and also sometimes a hard question to answer. I think it completely depends on what your goals are as an organization or a program. There are certainly kind of industry standards for success that you can, find, and I can send some examples of that. But it also depends. I have some clients that are very focused on the number of fans that their Facebook page has, and their success metric is measure there is. I also have clients who are more focused on the engagement around that, around their content. And so they're more focused on the number of comments on the post or the number of likes on a post. And so I know that isn't a direct question, but it kind of depends on what your goals are in your social media efforts. And then what we always do with our clients is set, we start a program and then use those initial kind of feedback as our baseline and continue to build from there. So say, you launch your Facebook page and you get an organic fan base of 500 followers. So then maybe you say, okay, let's grow 20% every quarter or something like that. I know that's not a direct answer. I think it really depends, though. I don't know if any of the other presenters